Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're looking at the System Operator Droid. Now, this comes to us from the Death Star Technical Companion from page 93 of that book. This is for the West End Games role playing game. This is the only place we ever get to see this, and actually, I give credit to the people that put the book together here that we're using because they actually gave us a picture of what the droid is supposed to look like. Um, in the book itself, from the technical companion, all we get is just a little blip of what the stats are on this droid. So we're going to kind of go through the stats, and then I'm going to give my wildest guess as to the full extent of what this droid probably is being used for here. Um, so it's an Imperial issued system operator astromech droid. Has a dexterity of 1D, so obviously it's not very capable of doing a lot of different tasks. But there again, when we look at a lot of the other astromech droids, you're rolling along. You don't have to try and dodge a lot of things and everything else. So it makes sense. We have a knowledge of 2D, which is our average. Planetary systems is a 5D, and value is a 5D. Then we have a mechanical of 2D. We have astrogation of 5D, battle station piloting 5D, capital ship piloting 5D, and a space transportation of 5D. So, with that being said, of these are the core skills it's probably using. It's probably either going to help and assist in the ship's navigation with the astrogation or the piloting. Um, but when we look at, because this is for the Death Star, so I mean, how many stations do we have to manage for the different engines and shielding and so on and so forth? So this is probably just a sub kind of pilot in a way, or to put it better, you have a system somewhere that has to be managed, and you might have one crew member and maybe one or two droids. So that way you can cut down on the amount of people that you really need, and maybe it's some backwater water area or something like that. Um, but we have someone to help assist, or something in that regard to help assist an actual sentient being in taking care of some sort of station like that. We have a perception of 3D, so it is above average. So obviously, it's meant to be able to keep an eye on whatever systems it's watching. We do have a strength of 1D, technical of 2D, so we have computer program repair of 3D. We have what it's equipped with here. We have a fine manipulators, starship interface jack, retractable tool appendage, which so it can jack into whatever station it needs to work on. Let's see. We have a move of 3. Size is 1 meter tall, which is our standard, and then it's from the book. Now, here's a couple other thoughts, and just keep in mind these are just what's popping in my. I don't have anything planned out on this, so it's just as always, you and me sitting around a table just discussing what would this thing be for. The other thought that just popped in my head, because we're talking about capital ship piloting and space transport piloting, this might get attached to maybe a tech crew, so it can kind of go in and diagnose any mechanical problems. And maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is just strictly more of a mechanical droid, repair droid, or for diagnosing what's going on. And maybe you're going to have one of these either for trying to determine what system is malfunctioning on the Death Star, or even less likely, or maybe it's set to go with a 5-man crew. We'll say so. You have four Imperial technicians and one system operator droid, and then they can go on to either some other capital ship or some other space transport, or maybe if they're working on the space station, um, they can actually go on to that and diagnose what the problems are. It could be something just as simple as that. Just say, hey, we're here to fix problem whatever, and the droid's going to jack in, try and track down where the problem is, kind of give off on the interface what the issue is, and where they can find the problem, and then the techs go in and solve said problem. And that's very possible. We have to remember when we're looking at Star Wars, this is set back in the 70s where we didn't have all the technology we're used to having today. We're used to everyone being connected by the internet, which wasn't a thing back then. So the concepts of everything being linked together was not there. So wanting to kind of pull it back into that world view of what a futuristic society would be, um, perhaps it's just the whole thing of you can send a crew on, from a shuttle, try and diagnose where they have to go. They'll get there. They'll fix what the problem is. If you have a couple of these on board the Death Star, which I'm sure is got to be a mechanical nightmare just trying to keep this thing up and running, they may have a bunch of these running around on there as well. So it you know I think that would probably be about the best view of it, because that way you can always jack into a data port and try and figure out where your issues are coming in, unless there's something that someone else says, hey, it's some other problem. You know, Even as mundane as light bulbs being out, but they're there just to inspect and make sure everything else is running up to code, and you go from that point. So, uh, like I said, this is just my guess and my take on what this very well could be. I think it makes some sense if you're saying that this could be a astromech droid for a repair crew. The other thing is with it being uh, having astrogation and space transports, maybe it's even on a small transport vessel that can go back and forth on some of the Imperial ships or whatever. Um, but maybe not. I think it would make some sense to say, hey, we have a backup pilot that we can get from point A to point B while they're working on something else, or they're going over whatever the plans are for working on said ship or station or whatever. Because, I mean, as we think of the Death Star, uh, you know, we do kind of neglect a lot of the fact that there are so many other stations that the Empire is going to have. So, whether this is for a said group that's going back and forth from one base to another, or it's just for or assigned to a certain station, whether it's the Death Star, another battle station of some sort, even a medical station or anything else along those lines. It's a very plausible idea that it's just meant to go with a crew of technicians to help repair. So I think I'll stay with that thought. I think it does make some sense. We can have better droids for piloting and everything else. Um, they can be more geared for that, or this could be just a general repair droid for the Empire for trying to fix up different space stations and um, capital ships and other transports that they're using. So, with that, I think we got the gist of what this probably really is. Hope you agree. If you don't, please, leave me a comment and you tell me what you think. Like I said, this is just something, looking at the book, because I looked at the book, I couldn't find any other information on this anywhere else. Wikipedia didn't have it. Holocron and them, I didn't see anything on theirs either. So this is the only real out of the technical manual. Uh, is really the only place that we get this, and then of course they put it into our book here. So here we are. Um, you know, I think we got a good gist of it. But if you disagree with what I think, by all means, leave me a comment. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.